To me, around that period, Pandit Ravi Shankar was the ultimate in music, in perfection, in excellence. And one of the very ironic things in my life is that I grew up disliking the Sarod because I hadn't heard my Guru. And I had heard gramophone records, which my father had bought for me, of great Sarod Ustads prior to my Guru as a player. And those performances on the gramophone records of those great Ustads seemed to me too staccato, too hurried, and I didn't like that. And it's one of those huge ironies, blessed ironies of my life, is that finally my life and Sarod are inextricably connected. That instrument which I did not like is my life now. And that once again, that huge change, radical change. I became a different person after that epiphanic moment of my first experience of Khan Saab's music. My cousin and I, we went to his house, and he was very kind, very gentle. And he said, "You want to learn Sarod, do you?" I said, "I've thought about it. I do want to. I just want to give up everything and come to you and learn." We will tea and all that. So the time to go. He said, "Now don't decide in front of me because you are full of me. So don't decide. Go back. Teach there. Wherever you're teaching, teach. Get back to your job. Think about it. If you still want to come, then come back." One early morning, I went and tapped his door. He opened. He said, "You're here. Now what?" I said, "I've come to learn from you. And your job, I've given it up. You are mad. Come in." He took me in and gave me a cup of tea. Made. That's the beginning. Pandit Ravishankar used to come to Hyderabad every year to perform there. And I would go and touch his feet, and that's it. How are you, Taranath? God bless, and that's it. But that day when I went, he said, "You wait. What are you doing? You have a comfortable job. You are married and then you're divorced. Good job, good quarters, all that." And I went on saying yes. And then he said, "Aren't you ashamed? Are you not ashamed from my brother?" He used to call Khan Sahib his brother. Khan Sahib was slightly younger to him. "My brother and I, this family, has given you everything. Free. We haven't charged you. You wanted to learn from us, we gave it to you. We teach hundreds of people all over the world. But this art, this sound of the sarod sits only in the hands of a few. And you happen to be one of them. And what do? You go and teach Shakespeare and Milton. Aren't there other people to do that?" And I asked him, "Tell me what I should do." I said, "Sir, I'm 51. He said, "So what? You're a good player. You're not a beginner, you're a good player. Go back to America. Go to your guru and learn from him. Revive that connection which is, for all sorts of reasons, broken." So I got a Ford Foundation fellowship to work on the teaching techniques of this gharana, Maihar Senia Alauddin Gharana, and the teaching techniques employed by the great Ustad Alauddin Khan.
In 1987, I was working at the Ali Akbar College of Music where Ali Akbar Khan Sahib taught. And yes, I was an accountant, but I was a student also. I observed many meetings over the period that Rajiv ji was in California on a Ford Foundation fellowship originally, and later he came on many tours, concert tours, um, some of which I helped to organize. But in general, he would meet with Kansab at any opportunity during his trips here. And what I observed, the connection was so emotional and so deep that it gave me a new insight in what it is to care for something with all your being. That your life choices, and in this case, Rajivji's choice uh, to learn from Kansab.
Rajiv does music, as I said some time back, that comes so close to the music of his great legendary master Ustad Ali Akbar Khan Sahib that there are many, many moments in his performance where sometimes you can't feel the difference between the great master and Rajiv Da. And that itself is a massive contribution to music because he's carrying forward the thought process, the music, the imagination, the depth of feelings of his great master. And every time he performs, it is a treat not only to accompany him, but to listen to him. And of course, him as a composer, extempore composer while he is performing, the amazing things that he comes and, he just takes off with.
Ustad Ali Akbar Khan Sahib was known for taking the eyes at any place, bringing out the eyes from any place. The eyes means repeating the last words of the composition, and 3 times, and coming to the sum. That quality is very, very rare, and which has been adapted by Panditji, and he also is equally good in bringing out the highest in his concerts.
You know, his strokes, along with the phraseology, they speak of different emotions and feelings in his performance. There is the bold approach also, on one hand, the very masculine approach, and there are the very subtle, fine things that are also hidden underneath, and they come out with those delicate strokes also, and handling, and even the ornamentation used with his left hand, and especially the phraseology. For example, pa sa da 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 da, even da da na, which is a phrase typical of the Senia Rampur style. His great grand guru, Ustad Wazir Khan's phraseology, along with the beautiful mean that comes from Ga Re Sa. In Yaman, I'm just taking a regular rag for people to understand. Da 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 da, and then da. That beautiful glide from Ga to Sa. Similarly, da 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 da. Here, da da. This ni to sa. Instead of a lot of people might prefer doing da 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 sa. He will not do dhasa. He would do dhani nisa. Da da da. These are, there's so much of feeling, emotion with all these phrases. So, and then his handling of many other ragas, outstanding, whether it is Desh or Basant Mukhari or Darbari or Chandranandan, his guru's rag.
Frequently asked of me, you are a classical musician, you function within a framework. Does this fact give you an opportunity to express your individuality? Now, I'd like to say one or two things. Shakespeare didn't ask for originality, nor did Kalidasa. They were looking not for originality, I think. They were looking for excellence. Now, something of that holds good with music, our music. The classical music, the same Bhairavi, the same Bhairav, same Yaman, that many people have played and will play in future. But does that mean we should give it up? the possibility is not my signature, but the excellence of that line. How well expressed it is, how well thought out it is, how significant it could be in a certain given context, and so on.
Gamadani sa gare sa 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 re re ni da da.
No. Don't add one more now.
Sa re ni.
What kind of a voice is that? Are you singing in a false voice? You are re.
Sa
Sa.
sa.
Everybody sing for me, please.
Bajo
Baju
band,
baju
I don't hear Leslie.
बाजू बंद कुल कुल जा
That's right.
कुल कुल जा.
That's right.
Yeah. I can talk to you about what I try to do with music in a classroom situation. I tried very hard not to make people sing together and so on. No. I have to go to each person. You saw this morning. I mean, there are many students there, six students. I did not want any of them to sing with someone else. Just you individuals sing for me. And if you don't sing well, I will yell at you. All that you saw this morning. That has been my effort. I thought somewhat about the classroom teaching of this music. I have not yet come up with satisfactory answers. I do think that this music, our music, needs to be taught individually.
The time must have been about 3:30 or 3:45 in the morning, and I was suddenly woken up by somebody shouting my name. It took me a few seconds to realize that I was in the house of my Guruji, Pandit Rajeev Taranath, on my first visit to Bangalore, and I had slept for a very few hours, so it took me quite some time to realize what was happening. And when I came to, I was shocked because I realized that my Guruji was standing in front of my bed offering me bed tea. It was too much, it was so embarrassing, and I immediately started complaining. Then he said in a very stern voice, "Please keep quiet. Look, it's so quiet now, don't disturb this. Take your tea and then come out with your sarod." So I did as I was told, and he started teaching me Rag Lalit. He smiled a bit and said, "Look, it was so quiet. And this is the time to learn and to teach Lalit. It is such a great rag, And when you are teaching or playing such a great rag, how does it matter who makes the tea? the guru or the shishya. I think this was really too much. I can't think of any guru who would go such lengths in order to teach the right kind of music at the right kind of time.
For any artist, at least in Indian classical scenario, the teaching part is separate, their individual private practice is always really private. But all the time, in all these 10 years, he has allowed me to learn from his private practice. He would make mistakes while exploring a raga. I also get to know that he is also making that mistakes. And he is coming over that mistake. He is refining that particular phrase. Let's say he is playing a pihai. Sometimes we don't come to some, sometimes we come to some. But he will make sure that he gets it right. That process of mistake to perfection, he allowed me to watch and learn. It is never like he gives me a phrase, learn, play this for 1,000 times and you come back. No, it was never like that. He would expect anybody to be attentive all the time.
ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ಬರು ಹಿರಿಯ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಚಂದ್ರಶೇಖರ್ ಅಂತ ಅವ್ರು ನನಗೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು, ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಸೀನ್ ಹಿಮ್ ಆ್ಯಸ್ ಎ ಸರೋದ್ ಪ್ಲೇಯರ್ ಬಟ್ ಐ ನೋ ಹಿಮ್ ಆ್ಯಸ್ ವೋಕಲಿಸ್ಟ್. ನಾನು ಅಷ್ಟು ಚಿಕ್ಕವರಿದ್ದಾಗಿಂದ ಅವರನ್ನು ನೋಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಅವ್ರದ್ದು ಎಂಥ ಒಂದು ಅದ್ಭುತ ಸ್ವರ ಇದೆ. ಅವರೆಲ್ಲ ಏನಾದರೂ ಸರೋದ್ ಪ್ಲೇಯರ್ ಆಗಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ತುಂಬ ಅದ್ಭುತವಾದ ವೋಕಲಿಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು, ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ತುಂಬ ಫೋರ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ವೋಕಲಿಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು ಅಂತ ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು.
बाज रही धुन मधुर कन्हैया गावत खेलत हो रे बांसुरी.
Soon after my father died, there is an institution called Kannada Sahitya Parishat in Bangalore. It's a society, connected with Kannada literature. And they had old building, but a big hall and so. And there I gave my first performance, vocal performance.
ನಾನು ಒಂದು ಡಾಕ್ಯುಮೆಂಟ್ರಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೆ. ಆದರೆ ಹಂಪಿ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಲೊಳಲೊಟ್ಟೆ ಅಂಥೇಳಿ ಪುರಂದರದಾಸರು ಒಂದು ಪದ ಬರೆದಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಎಷ್ಟೊಂದು ವೈಭವದಿಂದ ಶುರುವಾದದ್ದು ಕೊನೆಗೂ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಲೊಳಲೊಟ್ಟೆ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಪುರಂದರದಾಸರ ಕಂಡಲ್ಲಿ ಲೊಳಲೊಟ್ಟೆ ಅದು ಏನೇನಿತ್ತು ಅದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಹಾಳಾಗಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ ಈಗ ಹಂಪಿ. ಹಾಳಾದ ಹಂಪಿಯನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ತೋರಿಸ್ತಾ ಈಗ ಹಾಡು ಹಾಕಬೇಕು ಅಂತ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಲೊಳಲೊಟ್ಟೆ ಯಾರು ಹಾಡಬೇಕು, ನಾನು ಹಾಡ್ತಾನೆ ತೋಡ್ರಿ ಅಂದರು. ಇವ್ರು ಹಾಡೋದು ನಾನು ಕೇಳಿದ್ದಿಲ್ಲ ಮೊದಲು. ಒಂದು ಹಾಡಿದ್ರು ನೋಡಿ ಆ ಲೊಳಲೊಟ್ಟೆ ದಾಸರ ಪದವನ್ನು. ಗ್ರೇಟ್. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ತನಕ ಆ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ದಾಸರನ್ನಾಗಲಿ ಅಥವಾ ಪದ್ಯವನ್ನಾಗಲಿ ಯಾರೂ ಹಾಡಿದ್ದನ್ನು ನಾನು ಕೇಳಿಲ್ಲ. ನಾನು ಹಾಡ್ತೇನೆ, ನಾನು ಹಾಡಿದರೂ ಕೂಡ ಈ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಇಡೀ ಸಾಮ್ರಾಜ್ಯದ ದುರಂತವನ್ನು ಕುರಿತಾಗಿ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ ಆ ಹಾಡು, ಏನು ದುರಂತ ಕಣ್ಣಿಗೆ ಕಟ್ಟಿ ಬಂದಂಗಾಯಿತು.
The kind of canons and the kind of rules and the kind of very important shared classical, sensibility which Guruji is naturally into because of his music. He's a classical Hindustani musician. But at the same time, there is another part of him which is so incurably romantic. He is an idealist, and probably that's also because of his upbringing. His father Pandit Taranath and his mother Sumiti Bai, who brought him up in a very, very different way from any other kids of his age.
He was my first teacher. And, I think he gave a direction to my taste for music, taste for art. Quite early, my taste for music, my taste for art, good sound, and he went on providing good sound. And in that, you see, he himself taught me. He had a good voice, and then he got me a whole set, gramophone records of Ustad Abdul Karim Khan Sahab, who was described as the nightingale of Hindustani music, vocal music. So I grew up on all this. When mother wrote, there are child marriages, marital rape. It was not recognized as marital rape till the other day. My mother wrote powerfully about each one of them. This is a social aspect. And she wrote one book especially for adolescent girls. She called it Towards Womanhood, where she talked about the structure of the woman's body, talks about masturbation, talks about menstruation. It talks about why a girl who has not menstruated or is just about should not be forced into a marriage and raped. She wrote that book.
I was working on Periyar when I was doing my PhD in the US, and I go to Periyar Theatre. I'm looking at these late 1920s journals which were brought out by Periyar, an English journal called Revolt. And there I suddenly find something written by Sumati Bai. And this was an article which talked about child marriages, and she had very, very strongly protested against child marriages, and then she was urging the colonial government to bring in laws to stop these child marriages. And I was really, curious. When I started reading this article, I realized that it was the same Sumati Bai, Guruji's mother.
In recognition of his illustrious service to music, and the indelible imprints that he has left in the verdant spheres of Sangeet, Swaralaya honors Padma Shri Pandit Rajeev Taranath with the Swaralaya Puraskaram for the year 2020 on 24/7/22 at Ernakulam.
Pandit Rajeev Taranath മലയാളികൾക്ക് വളരെ സുപരിചിതനാണ്. കാരണം അദ്ദേഹം മലയാളത്തിൽ അരവിന്ദിൻ്റെയും M.T. വാസുദേവൻ നായരുടെയും സിനിമകൾക്ക് പശ്ചാത്തല സംഗീതം ഒരുക്കിയിട്ടുണ്ട്. അങ്ങനെ അദ്ദേഹത്തെ നേരിട്ട് കാണുകയോ കേൾക്കുകയോ ചെയ്യുന്നതിന് മുമ്പ് തന്നെ അദ്ദേഹം നമുക്ക് പരിചിതനായി മാറിയ ആളാണ്. താരാനാഥ്ജി, my pranam to you for your great work, and we are honored in honoring you.
He seems to take almost has the patience to see people, to try to understand them from many different dimensions before making getting a full, trying to commit to an impression. And you bring that same patience with you in internalizing what a raga is over a lifetime.
Pandit Rajeev Taranath is also an example of why an acute intellect needs to coexist with a deeply emotive artist. Because we also think that people are deeply emotive artists. They don't think; they just do. That people who think a lot are not very expressive. All this is nonsense, right? So I think a deeply intellectually engaged human being is the person who can be the most emotional musician. And one devoid of the other is a lacking. And I think in Pandit Rajeev Taranath, we find that person, a person who is deeply intellectual, a thinking man, very combative human being, a person with a lot of opinions. That's because he's a passionate human being. And only a passionate human being can be an artist.
When we play a slow piece, people don't like it. Play it fast. Make a lot of noise. So that is the distinction between the old way of listening. They knew what to listen for, and the musician knew what they listened for. And he gave them that. Our music has a place for very spacious development of the raga. It is seen much more in Hindustani music, I feel. But even in Carnatic music, ragam, tanam, pallavi, takes its own time to unwind. Long programs like that, it also promotes, encourages long performances by individuals because they are not bound by time. It also encourages detailed listening by those who know. And if you don't know, well, you learn better, and then learn to enjoy the longer performance. For what might be called the unendingness of our music, that nature.